Hi, I'm John Byrne with Poets&Quants. You know, when you think about Wharton, you inevitably think about finance and, of course, the city of Philadelphia. You might even think about Rocky and a Philadelphia cheesesteak. What you don't think about are cable cars and the Golden Gate Bridge. And yet here we are in San Francisco, the city by the bay, on the Wharton campus. And we're about to take you on a tour of their Executive MBA program. So come on and join me right now. So we're here with three second-year students, Alan, Sue, and Todd. Thanks for joining us. You spent 2 years here at the Wharton Executive MBA program. What did you get out of it?
One of the reasons that I was pursuing an MBA is I saw in the military how important it is to be equipped with the right tools to make a difference. In the Marine Corps, you're always being pushed at all parts of the world. You're at the tip of the spear where there's the most dangerous and chaotic events are happening. And I wanted to do that in the business world.
And Sue, you're a portfolio manager at Google,
Yes.
which means you're in a finance role.
Yeah.
Why in the world did you want an MBA?
Yeah.
You have a job that everyone in the world wants.
I noticed there weren't that many women portfolio managers, and the ones that were there all had their MBAs. So, you know, it planted a seed very early on that for me, I needed to have my MBA to be successful.
Okay, so Todd, you are CIO of Cliff Bar. Why did you want an executive MBA to begin with?
I really saw this as an opportunity to, one, learn some of the frameworks that I had never had the privilege to learn. I'd had the experience and made the mistakes, but never understood why. And two, to be able to provide the credentials to be able to take the next step in my career.
And you had mentioned that at one point you had worked in Wall Street and you collided with some Wharton graduates.
When I started my career on Wall Street, two of my colleagues were Wharton graduates, and they were the most intelligent people I had ever had the privilege to work with. That set Wharton apart in my mind right from the beginning.
Everyone knows the Wharton Executive MBA program is sort of the top of the line in the world. So what are the basic differences between the EMBA program in Philadelphia and the one in San Francisco?
There really aren't big differences, and that's by design. We want the programs to be the same. Of course, we're drawing from different populations, and so, as you might expect, a little bit more tech here in San Francisco, a little bit more finance, a little bit more government, because we're also drawing from Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia. Sure. We still get lots of finance people in San Francisco and plenty of tech people in Philadelphia.
We have the same requirements as the full-time MBA program at the Wharton School, so number of contact hours, the faculty who are teaching in the program, the rigor of the MBA, full-time or executive MBA is the same.
And it's the same number of contact hours and they're quite high, right?
Close to 700.
700. And this is while someone is working a full-time job, of course. So basically over a 24-month period, alternating weekends, you can expect to be in this beautiful environment.
In this executive program setting, constraints improve
Really?
performance. I think they get so into it that it's energizing and they produce more. It's like 2 + 2 = 5 or something. It's an incredible thing to watch.
Everything that you hear, everything that is said about how difficult the course is, that it's undiluted, it's every bit as high expectation as the full-time program, is absolutely true. So listen to that and weigh that carefully and not thinking, well, they're exaggerating a little bit. No, there's no exaggeration. It will be that challenging.
Based on the point system, they are very much a breakable coalition.
You go to this program to shoot to be, you know, a much larger leader in the organization. You got to have high capacity. And I think sometimes in order to stretch your capacity, you got to stretch it.
So the coalition in this case, this is before they even got to the negotiating table.
Entrepreneurially, these students are amazing. They are not only working full-time, family, school, but they're often investigating new ideas that they have.
We have a gentleman that started a pharmaceutical company based on a health issue he had had all his life. And during the program, he continued to build the company, used his resources here at school to learn more, to develop it more, and actually took the company public while he was in the program.
It's a sort of real-life laboratory in a way that they can bring their problem to and maybe gain some perspective or assistance in solving it, right?
A lot of practical exposure, questions, background, experience.
That's why James agreed. We were both on the same page.
Our interests were aligned.
Even from the first semester, where we began to start understanding pricing discussions, at my first job, I started to bring that level of the information and thought to some discussions and meetings, and that kind of put me on a different track in reference to my managers, where they started to give me more and more projects to work on. In fact, I had 2 promotions in 8 months, and then I was able to, a CEO recruited me to join a startup.
People often say there's a distinction between academia and practice, and I rather think for business, you shouldn't have much of a distinction at all.
Because you're going back and forth from the classroom to the real world, and because that real world can be very punishing if you're not paying a lot of attention to it.
Having that real-world angle on academia and having even an academic approach, a rigorous, structured approach to the real world adds value.
Yeah.
True, all right, good, it's true.
And that's generally the beauty of an executive MBA program, where what you learn in the classroom actually can be applied fairly quickly at work, right? Todd, did you have that experience as well?
You study on the weekend and go in on work on Monday and put it right into practice. And that was true for most courses.
How helpful can you be helping a manager convince his employer that this is a viable and worthwhile professional development that the company should invest in? Do you do that?
You know, tell your company, think about how much money they would spend hiring a consultant to do the various projects and get the knowledge that the student is going to bring back to the company over 2 years' time. And you know, they usually would spend a lot more money on a consultant than they would even if they fully sponsored the student. So a partial sponsorship was a pretty good deal.
There's a little bit more of a technical focus here on the West Coast. On the East Coast, a lot of technical folks as well, a little more ready preparation, folks who are already in finance. And of course, there's kind of the Bay Area vibe, a strong appreciation for entrepreneurship. It's not like we don't see that on the East Coast. We see a lot of entrepreneurship, actually.
Sure.
But it's part of the culture, and there are all kinds of subcultures.
What I was really surprised by was how much I appreciated the non-finance courses. So, you know, there's always this joke in the finance industry about management classes. We call them fluffy classes. And I'm walking away 2 years later and I'm appreciating how much I learned from those classes. You know, our professors are amazing.
In the global immersion, that's a 1-week trip. And you usually go to, what, 5 different places?
Last year, we went to South Africa, Spain, Beijing, China, Cuba, and Singapore, Vietnam.
I went to South Africa and it was amazing.
I went to Spain, and I actually took my wife and little daughter, so all of us got to enjoy Spain.
And that was the leisure industry trip, right?
Absolutely.
So you had a little bit of food, a little bit of sport.
You know, we went to these beautiful vineyards with just the art and detail they put into their business and the passion that they put in.
Beijing?
Singapore and Ho Chi Minh City.
Ah, okay.
It was completely opposite of what I expected to find. We were talking about the economics and the branding that was happening in front of us, rather than going to order a beer as most tourists would do. So it really made me realize at that moment, I look at things much differently now than I did before I started at Wharton.
I just knew that in order to be influential and make a difference around the globe in business, you need equipping. You need to be equipped with finance, and you need to understand the frameworks of strategy to really be able to understand a global market. I wanted to pursue a best platform to gain that level of equipping, and that was Wharton.
You know, what better, you know, school to attend than Wharton?
Yes.
What better degree than a Wharton degree?